everyone, and welcome back to another science fair lesson. This week we are going to make sure you are ready to conduct your experiment. Your opener should be found in your student notes, and after reading the question you can go ahead and pause the video here while you work on it. What is your general plan for conducting your experiment? Think about when and where it will happen and who is responsible for which part. Go ahead and pause the video here so that you can finish your answer. Your objective for today is I can conduct my science fair experiment this week. Let's go over some directions. The goal for today is to make sure you are ready to conduct your experiment. This means that today you will be mostly working at your own pace. This is because each of you has different things that you need to take care of for your experiment, and you have very different plans for how you are going to carry out those experiments. Here are the things that you must do in class and may do in class. Things that you have to do today. Pick up materials from your teacher if the school ordered materials for you. This is so you can be prepared to do the experiment later in the week. The next thing that you must do in class is finish your plan for the experiment with your group. This means you should be talking over with your group or by yourself if you're working alone, and figuring out where you are doing the experiment and who is responsible for each part. Are you meeting up at somebody's house? Are you each taking a different trial? How are you going to make sure that you're measuring things the same way? Things like that. The third thing that you must do in class is double check your procedure and your materials list. You really want to make sure that your procedure and materials list are correct for what you are planning on doing. This is especially true if you are working with a group and you are splitting up parts of the experiment. You really need to make sure that all of your group members are on the same page for what you need and how you are conducting the experiment. The fourth thing that you have to do is have a solid plan of what days you are doing your experiment. This would be something very important to share with your teacher. Are you conducting the experiment during study hall where you will need some student volunteers? Are you doing it at home over the weekend? Are you starting today and collecting data throughout the week? Make sure that you have a plan so that you know what you're responsible for each day until we meet again in our next class. Some things that you may do in class if you have finished all of the must-do section. Finish any missing science fair work if you are behind. So if you were missing your procedure from earlier and you didn't turn it in, you can take care of that now. If you forgot to submit your hypothesis, you can do that now. You can also correct previous science fair assignments based on your teacher's feedback if you have received it. So if your teacher has created, let's say, your hypothesis and you were missing some things or it wasn't clear, go ahead and fix that now so that it's correct when you do your final science fair presentation. The other thing that you may do, depending on what your experiment is starting your experiment if you are able to do so in class. So if, for example, you need something involving student volunteers and there's another group that is done with all of their must-dos, go ahead and pull those students so that you can start your experiment. But again, make sure you check with your teacher before you do that. You can go ahead and sit with your group and pause the video here so that this list stays up during your work time. Now that we're wrapping up class for today, here are the things that you need to bring to the next class. You will need to have conducted your experiment according to your procedure. You will also need to have collected data from your experiment. As always, make sure that these items are turned in according to your teacher's directions. If you have not finished your experiment next week, you will not be able to do the lesson in class. This means you will have a lot more homework, so do your best to be prepared. At this point, we are running out of weeks before the end of our science fair unit. You may already even know what date your science fair is taking place, so it's very important that you are staying on top of things, especially your experiment. Don't forget to get that experiment done and make sure you're prepared for next week, and I will see you next time.